Thank you, Mr. President. And now I come to the Senate floor to strongly urge consideration and passage of the first of several amendments I'll be presenting on this so-called comprehensive immigration reform bill. It's numbered 1228, and it's about the U.S. visit system, the entry-exit system that is supposed to be in place, has been mandated by Congress many times to guard against visa overstays, which is a serious national security problem. Mr. President, why is this important? Well, there's one simple way to underscore that, to answer that question, and that is to remind us that the 9/11 terrorists, every single one of them, were visa overstays. There are dangerous people who came into our country on valid visas and then who overstayed their visas, who plotted against us, and who ultimately caused horrendous death and destruction on 9/11. What do we do about that situation? Well, we need a system of tracking visas who come into the country and then tracking when they should be leaving the country and looking to see if they have exited the country. We need a system which has biometric data associated with it, which can track those entrances and those exits. That sort of system is technologically possible. It's definitely possible to fund and put in place. It's primarily a question of political will. And unfortunately, even after Congress mandating this multiple times to no effect, even after 9/11 and other terrorist attacks, we haven't mustered the political will to demand that this is in place. If 9/11 wasn't enough, the 9/11 Commission, which we appointed, put into law, asked to look at the horrible attack of 9/11 and give us recommendations. The 9/11 Commission put this as one of their top recommendations. And their specific recommendation was that, quote, the Department of Homeland Security, properly supported by Congress, should complete as quickly as possible a biometric entry-exit screening system, close quote. Again, Mr. President, Congress had talked about this years before, starting in 1996. Congress passed that mandate. Congress repeated that mandate many different times, over 17 years, 6 additional votes. The 9/11 Commission said the tragedy of 9/11 was in part due to our not having that system. Congress, the administration, you need to get this done, and still that important piece of border security is not in place. And so, Mr. President, this Vitter Amendment, number 1228, is very, very simple. It will prohibit the implementation of any program granting temporary legal status in this bill or adjusting legal status who's presently in our country unlawfully until this U.S. visit system has been fully implemented, full implementation. So no change in anybody's legal status happens until we finally, after decades, implement this U.S. visit system, until we finally, after years, heed the recommendation on the 9/11 Commission, until we finally, decades after 9/11, say this will never happen again. And under this legislation, under my amendment, both houses of Congress must pass a joint resolution of approval that, yes, this is fully in place. Because quite frankly, there isn't sufficient trust of just the administration saying so, just some certification from any administration, not just this one, anyone. It has to happen, and Congress has to say, yes, that is in place. And then that change in legal status can go forward. Mr. President, we talk a lot about border security. And of course, usually we focus on the southern border for obvious reasons. That's where the numbers are. That's where the greatest flow is. But when it comes to national security, this is a vital component of enforcement. This is a vital component of border security. And we need to get this right. We need to remember 9/11. We need to heed the recommendation of the 9/11 Commission. It's been 1996 since Congress has mandated this. We need to make it stick. And the only way to make it stick in the context of this bill is to demand that it is done, it is completed, verified, including by Congress before any change in legal status happens.